I mix what I like, what I like.
I mix what I like is exactly where you want and need to be. I mix what I like, organic, vegan, soul food from your immediate diet. Live healthy.
I mix what I like, what I
We're
like.
here on I Mix What I Like. You may check us out on imixwhatilike.org, where you can see all these other shows and what my daddy likes and other cool things.
All right. What's up, world? Welcome to I Mix What I Like. I'm Jared Ball. Happy to be your host. Please do all the things like, share, subscribe, support the Patreon, put some comments in, invite others to join you. It's good to see folks once again, and I hope all are doing at least relatively well.
It's incredible. I love Rhonda.
That's how I feel today. So I do have some stories piling up, but just a couple. And I'm not sure exactly when the next Saturday Night Live over on Black Liberation Media will be. So I wanted to at least get to one or two, given an interview I was just asked to give, and I'm not sure what's going to happen with that interview. So I figured I would share with you the responses I gave and connected to one or two other little stories that just my buying power stories that relate to it, and then we can move on with the rest of our days. So what's up, Poncho? So it's a beautiful 74 degrees here in the mid-Atlantic. Sorry that you got rain. Although I don't mind rain depending on the situation. And but that's what we're talking about. So I was asked by what's up, Renee? Folks, please do, speaking of Black Liberation Media and Renee, make sure you check out part one of a series of discussions we're having about violence with Lawrence Grand Prix. And next week, it's going to be Lawrence and Alex Karakasonic. I'm going to get it. The author of Propaganda will be joining us next week. So please do check that out. And but yeah, so I got asked to submit, and I usually don't like doing it this way because it forces me to write. But I was asked to submit written responses to 7 questions about BadBunny, Latinos, and the Super Bowl, Latin America, and the Super Bowl. And I submitted them, and as yet there's been no follow-up response. So I don't know what's going to happen. So I figured I would share with you. But then there's a couple of overlapping buying power related stories, and yeah. Oh, speaking also of Saturdays with Renee, and Renee, I'm glad you're here. So folks, I kind of teased it yesterday that I was going to have a story to tell about where I went yesterday, and I do, but you're going to have to wait until next week's Saturdays with Renee to hear it. And one of the reasons why I want to tease it out to her show is that some of what I have to share involves her, and she doesn't even know this yet. So she's going to be surprised and everybody's going to be surprised. But yeah. A little story time next week on Saturdays with Renee. So yeah, so I got these let's move into these questions here, and we'll start here. And what I did is put them up. Let me take down, let's see if I do this. We can do this. So you'll through going through my responses to the questions, you'll see pretty clearly what the questions were. But so I got 7 questions from a journalist writing for, you know what? Where is that going? Where is that going? So let me just double check here. I was asked if I could respond to questions for a staff writer at the Baltimore Watchdog. And you know what? I don't know anything about the Baltimore Watchdog. I should have done this before. Let me check this out real quick. Let me see. The Baltimore Watchdog. About. The Baltimore Watchdog is a news website that features stories from Greater Baltimore written by Towson University journalism students. The site is committed to giving students real-life news reporting experience and is edited by Towson University professors. The site is not run by Towson University. Oh, and now I get it. Now I get why I would have been asked, because the editor-in-chief is Dr. John Kirch, who is one of my cohort from our PhD at the University of Maryland. He was in my class, and so I appreciate that. I should have checked. And let me just say, shout out to John, because John, man, John is presented, at least to me, as like a very straight-laced, straightforward Northeast, like Rhode Island, I want to say, Massachusetts, white guy. Very nice wife, young child or children at the time. We were all like beginning our families at the time, about 20 years ago, 25 years ago. But John was not where I am politically, but was mature, professional, and intellectually curious enough to engage and not want to shut down politics to his left. And we had some very interesting discussions, and once or twice he even would get a little he would ramp up to my energy level in terms of, and Liverpool just oh no, Liverpool had tied and then they just gave up the lead. Oh my God. Anyway, yeah, so shout out to John. So it makes sense that he would be running this project and that he would have dropped my name for someone looking for a comment on this that was a little out of the ordinary. So that makes sense. Okay, so very good. So we'll see what happens with whatever story is done with it. But anyway. But here are my response. So the first question: when I heard Bad Bunny would be playing the Super Bowl, I thought again of the very reason Jay-Z and Roc Nation were given the contract allowing influence over selection of artist performances for the NFL's biggest game: the suppression of Colin Kaepernick. And here we go again. Bad Bunny is seen by many as a symbol of Puerto Rican pride and that of all Latin America. But instead of genuine support for that community, defense of their lands, labor, and resources, or a call for them to share properly in the wealth they help generate for the entire hemisphere, the NFL offers stage time. Meanwhile, and I should have said stage time to one artist. Meanwhile, while most Latin Americans cannot afford to be at the game or risk the enhanced ICE enforcement the current president has promised to use the game for, they get symbolism. So, and yeah, that was, and I think the question was about what was my first thought when I heard Bad Bunny was going to get was selected for this, and this is generally what I was thinking, that and if folks don't know, just in case anybody doesn't know, he is a Puerto Rican artist, very big. And as we'll come back to, I think I have that set up here. The yeah, we'll look at a little bit of why this has gotten people so upset. No, no, no. Seventh son, you might have to excuse yourself from the chat. We my daughter is a Liverpool fan, so we can't engage in any of that slander there. But yeah. Anyway, Bad Bunny, very popular artist. Reggaeton, did a lot of salsa, big time, like classic salsa on this new album. I very much like that track, though I'm not necessarily a big fan of all of his music. And obviously he's done some, well, maybe not obviously, he's done some acting, and dude is very popular. But yeah, so yeah, this is, and then he was also seen as being something of somewhat of a kind of heroic, in that he was doing shows only for Puerto Ricans and only for Latin Americans, and he was doing it only in Spanish. He doesn't do songs in English. So there was there. He purposely did shows dressed in very regular clothing to be in solidarity with the working people. He had his whole like band and dancers dress in very traditional working people's clothing to be in solidarity with the people in outside of the city, in outside of the middle and so-called upper classes. So there was this cultural hero type of thing being, and even just talking to some of the Latinos around me about their thoughts of it. There is this, as we see with other folks, this tendency to be excited at being included, and I just think that that's part of what's being taken advantage of. All right, second question. I said, seeing a Spanish-speaking performer on the biggest U.S. stages is to me a cause for concern, given what I understand to be the purpose of dominant media, cultural imperialism, or liberal counterinsurgency. This is soft power or sports washing or the calculated incorporation of oppressed communities in popular performance as a method of quelling dissent or encouraging some false inclusion in a society in which they are being colonized. I would prefer more energy to be given to strikes, shutdowns, and disruption of abusive systems than tokenized participation. And I really do think we need to be moving in that direction, just in general, all of us, that much more discussion of where our collective power actually rests is in that kind of activity. It's not in buying power, circulating dollars, and so on and so forth. It's in withholding labor. It's disrupting. It's other forms of disruption. But a tokenized performance is not going to be some kind of revolutionary, yeah, yay inclusion. Yeah, it's not going to produce some sort of And yeah, you're right. Yeah, thank you for this clarification, sensible bruh. Bad Bunny might be the biggest artist in the world streaming wise. Yeah, I mean he's enormous. Dude's star right now is as bright as it gets. Um, but that's also part of the point, and I think I bring it up later that's part of the problem. That's in part of the issue with celebrity and popularity. There is no rich, famous, and politically radical at the same time, and I think that is not easily understood. Three, Bad Bunny's agreement to perform at the Super Bowl can easily be read as a contradiction of his previous interest in shows exclusive to his people. My concern is that the anger from MAGA will have too many seeing his performance as defiance, and hence my previous responses. One can never be simultaneously rich, famous, and politically radical. There it is. That is the contradiction of celebrity within settler colonialism. So this question of well, what about the anger from MAGA that are upset that and I'm saying, this is always part of the point or problem that doesn't mean just because the rednecks and the Klan are upset that what they're upset at is automatically itself an advance for the rest of us. Um, unless I mean, I'm not mad at it. Any L for the enemy is an L, but that's really just kind of being petty, right?
People be like, why do you go out of your way to be petty? And I'd be like, who said it was out of my way? It's directly on my route every single time. Pettyluia.
uh, yeah. uh, oh wow, Poncho, right? Exactly. Bad Bunny doing a halftime show, and now Latin American woman Nobel Prize winner representation. Yeah, that's it. Well, remember Obama got the Peace Prize, so I mean, after that, what's left? Uh, yeah. All right, number four, Americans will not have as many problems with the performance or inclusion of Spanish music as long as it never accompanies genuine power for those communities, and no Spanish speaking community should assume cultural inclusion means genuine power. Kwame Ture's point about Black visibility not being Black power applies here as well. Yeah, so the question I think was how should anybody feel about, or what does it say about more inclusiveness? And I think Pancho just laid it out perfectly. Nobel prizes, you can have a couple presidents, we win it. Exactly. It's just not uh yeah. So yeah, nobody minds being entertained as long as everybody knows that after you finish doing that entertaining and then the work, you go home. And that home is uh elsewhere. White people only wanting to see world majority peoples perform in specific ways is consistent, and why I prefer to point energy in directions of collective power, towards collective power. If whites do not want to be bothered by world majority people performing at halftime, perhaps they shouldn't have to be bothered by others performing during the game. And that's sort of going back to my previous point. It was again the question was, in fact, do I have it right here? Yeah. Yeah, so the exact question was, we've seen some negative reactions online and in some circles to artists of color at the Super Bowl. How do you respond to that kind of criticism? And that's what I'm saying. And I'm and is word. You don't want Latinos performing? Fine. Then you shouldn't have Latinos doing anything else. And maybe you try to run the Super Bowl in the stadium and do all the work and do everything with no Latinos. And if there's some solidarity, that should extend to everybody in the locker room. And I know Latinos are not, I don't know the exact percentage, but they are not overly represented in American football. But to the extent that they are, and to the extent there's solidarity with other people, maybe there's just fewer players. And it's like, oh, so and so's not available. Now, obviously, to ask players to skip their own Super Bowl, which is what most players give their whole lives and career to, is a lot. But I would still be interested to see what a stadium and the parking and the and all the service and everything. If all Latinos were just like, look, we don't want to risk ICE arrests. Because even if you're so-called quote unquote legal, people are still getting hemmed up for 8, 10, 12 hours, days, before it's realized that they're quote unquote legal. And so it's like, why risk it? So if everybody just said, we're not, you don't want BadBunny to perform, fine. I'll go with all the rest of my people who can't afford to see the thing live, and I'll watch the stream if there's a show, because I don't know what happens if everybody leaves. Is there a show? Anyway, but that is the energy I would like to reflect. So that's that. Number 6. No, BadBunny will not change one thing about this country's incorporation, co-optation, and misrepresentation of his or any other community. His performance will only worsen, complicate, and further confuse the politics of performance, celebrity, and mass media. To be clear, I blame no artist for their decisions or choices. I think it near impossible to navigate these politics while pursuing a career and absent large and organized political labor movements. But no, he will not improve a thing. So yeah, and it's pretty straightforward, pretty clear. There's not going to be, again, the performance doesn't do anything to improve the conditions of any of these communities or to advance the struggle. And then lastly, number 7, as I mentioned above, the NFL is not attempting to be more inclusive and diverse by including these artists. These recent, and it should say recent, performances. I actually did send them a follow-up email to say that's a typo. It should say recent, but not recent. But these recent performances have been set by Roc Nation as part of their $20 million deal post Kaepernick to shut down protests and to appease the nerves of white billionaire team owners, advertisers, and affluent white fans. And no one should want inclusion in a society like this one. We should want to change it. Or if I was being less liberal and bourgeois, I should have said destroy it. But, it's why you can't trust the aging. All right. So that was that. Now to extend from that, I did want to share one or two. Let's see here. Let's see. I'll stop sharing and I'll share. The real reason conservatives are furious about Bad Bunny's forthcoming Super Bowl performance in the conversation. Now I'll put links to in the show description if folks want to follow up with this story. Just a little bit of the discussion about obviously Bad Bunny and his forthcoming performance at the Super Bowl, where Homeland Security head Kristi Noem promised that U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement would be all over the Super Bowl. President Donald Trump called this selection absolutely ridiculous. Right-wing commentator Benny Johnson bemoaned the fact that the rapper has no songs in English. BadBunny, conservative pundit Tony Lauren complained, is not an American artist. Massive Trump hater, says Benny Johnson, anti-ICE activist, no songs in English. He even canceled his entire US tour for this reason. Effing ICE could be outside my concert, and it's something that I don't see the rest of that tweet actually, but that was some of the question about some of his own contradiction, that is BadBunny, that he had previously made that kind of criticism. He was a Kamala Harris supporter. He apparently wears gender bending wardrobe. He slammed Trump administration's anti-immigration policy and declined to tour the U.S. mainland. And his explicit lyrics, most of which are in Spanish, would make even the most ardent free speech warrior cringe. But then as the author, and why do I not see the author's name here? Oh, authors, duh. Ediberto Roman and Ernesto Sagas, professor of ethnic studies at Cal State University and professor of law at Florida International University. Sorry about that. Yeah, because I wanted to give them credit for what I think is a pretty good job of reminding everybody what is really the situation here, that at least adding some depth to it, reminding that Puerto Rico is a colony of the United States, acquired after the 1898 so-called Spanish-American War, where BadBunny would end up being born in 1994, 3.2 million U.S. citizens, but only those living on the mainland get full so-called rights and citizenship guarantees, voting, etc. There is the alien citizen paradox. They are U.S. citizens, but only those residing in the mainland enjoy all the rights of citizenship. Part of what was mentioned earlier, BadBunny's global reach. The xenophobic fervor against BadBunny has led political leaders like House Speaker Mike Johnson to call for a more suitable figure for the Super Bowl, such as country music artist Lee Greenwood. Referring to BadBunny, Johnson said, "It sounds like he's not someone who appeals to a broader audience. He's not someone." But the facts counter the claim. The Puerto Rican artist sits atop the global music charts. He has over 80 million monthly Spotify listeners, and he has sold nearly 5 times more albums than Greenwood. I don't know. Might not have broader appeal. And of course, that's what you want, broader appeal. So let's get an American country music artist. The global appeal has impressed the NFL, which hopes to host as many as 8 international games next season. Additionally, Latinos represent the league's fastest growing fan base, and Mexico is its largest international market with a reported 39.5 million fans. In the meantime, Puerto Ricans and the rest of the U.S. Latino community continue to wonder when they'll be accepted as social equals. Never. Never. Not in what this is the current status or state or arrangement of the United States. No, never. Now, and this sort of related to some of these other stories that keep coming in and are expanding with the buying power mythology expanding more and more into Latin America. And again, by buying power mythology, I mean specifically the use of the mythology and the misrepresentation of the concept of buying power as a mechanism of managing, quelling, dissipating, suppressing any potential for radical politics to emerge from a community. So buying power as a general concept is applied to every segment of society. It has economic purposes, it certainly has advertising purposes, but it is weaponized, particularly at Black people here in the United States, and increasingly, I'm noticing at Latin Americans, to say that this buying power, which is really only a measurement of a community's ability to buy what other people own and to enrich those other communities, is increasingly being said to be a mechanism for wealth gap closing and upward mobility hopes, etc., for Latinos, as has been the case targeting Black people. But and one thing that I did look up is that, as to your point here, it sounds saying elsewhere, the NFL's been making an active effort to bring in Latino watchers even before this Bad Bunny thing. They've been running ads on Univision and Telemundo, as well as explainers on the game rules. Absolutely. And they want to expand internationally as well. I should have actually saved that now that I think about it. See if I can pull something up here, because I was looking at some of the economics of sport this morning, and some of what one of the websites I looked at was showing that, and I didn't realize this, the NFL, I knew it was number one in terms of sports and here in the United States, but I didn't realize by how much. And I also didn't realize it's bigger revenue wise than even the English Premier League, by a lot, something like 22 billion to 8 billion. So there are 32 teams versus 20 in the English Premier League, but so there, it's a little, but still, they said something like each team, the average team couldn't be bought for anything under $7 billion. Yeah, I'm not going to find that. So definitely don't take my memory, without an appropriate grain of salt there. But that's pretty close. And then in the United States, it was the NFL by far, and then the NBA with a significant lead over Major League Baseball, which I was surprised by. And then Major League Soccer and the NHL are basically at the bottom at the same relatively 14 or 17%, I believe, of the sports market. So the NFL is just a juggernaut. And despite my individual boycott, I haven't watched a full game since Kaepernick took a knee, I think. Maybe a few minutes here or there, but I don't watch anymore. Now, Leah, I don't even get the draw to football. See, that's where I disagree. See, I actually think this was always a problem for me, and one of the greatest appeals to me is that I actually think American football is the greatest combination of intellectual and physical challenge that you can come up with in sport. And it can even be beautiful for a play to be successful. You need 11 people exactly acting at this side. Because even in soccer, a sport I prefer, yes, everybody's constantly moving and there's constant and the need for teamwork, but there can be these moments of individual brilliance that can can have an impact on the game in ways that I don't think is the case in the NFL. Even when people want to say X, Y, and Z player was individually brilliant, no sport relies on everyone else on the field at that moment doing the right thing for you to succeed than American football. So I think, it is this. If it wasn't for all, obviously, the physical damage and then the exploitation involved, generally speaking, I think it's just this perfect combination of an intellect, of a need for intellect and physical competence. Because if you really know the game and study the game and look at all 22 film footage and stuff like that, it's much different than even being live at a game. If you really look at it, I think it's remarkable what has to happen for something to work, even though a play is only a few seconds. So anyway, I just, but all that said, whatever we think about it, and I don't even watch anymore, the NFL's doing quite well is really the point I was getting at. But as it overlaps a little bit with what I'm more routinely looking at is why multicultural marketing fuels growth and how brands can tap into it. And again, it's the same thing. Here we are back in Forbes magazine, getting a contribution from Tony Gonzalez, who is CEO and co-founder of Mundial Media, so world or global media, a leading contextual marketing platform focused on multicultural audiences. And why? Because Nielsen, here we go again. And if you click it, it takes you to a story that claims the buying power with a citation from an unlinked and unfully cited, at least in description, Nielsen source. So Nielsen is quoting Nielsen to be quoted here in Forbes as saying, hey, Latinos have this buying power. And then if you go to look at, well, how are you determining what this buying power is? There's no, you can't even, this is even worse than when I was doing my work on it. Like, cause there's nothing there. And again, I'll put the links in the show description. Nobody has to take my word for it, but there's nothing there. So this story that I clicked, I don't think the screen share went. It's back at this. Anyway, I'm just saying I'm just saving us the time. The long story short is it is what I'm saying. When you click through all the clicks, it goes back to Nielsen. And they're rebranded Nielsen HQ or NQ, or what do they call it? Yeah. So, and then when you look at the footnote, there's nothing there. So it just says Nielsen, NQ or HQ or whatever their data, but there's nothing that shows you. There's no link to something else. There's nothing that says it's in this report. It's just it is the same thing. So whether it's the Selig Center, Nielsen, McKinsey and Company, they all say the same thing, and they all cite themselves in using data and research that means that is just, it comes out of nowhere. And then who does it benefit? Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola's Hispanic Spark campaign exemplifies effective multicultural marketing. Disney applied a similar approach with Mufasa, the Lion King, Spanish language trailers and influencer watch parties. So again, the point being, buying power is only a measure of the ability to enrich those who own the economy, like Coca-Cola, Disney, and whomever else. It has nothing to do with some ability to enrich or improve the material conditions in the lives of whoever the group is that the buying powers claim is being applied to. All right, one more from a couple days ago. This Hispanic Heritage Month, I feel less represented in beauty than ever. Oh no, says Sophia Vieira. Oh no. Latinas are the biggest consumers in the beauty industry. With a population of 62.5 million in the US, we have an estimated buying power of 2.4 trillion, and that's up 87% in the last 10 years. And reports show we spend more on beauty overall than any other ethnic group. Oh my goodness. And then it did go. I think so it does go when I changed tab. So good. This perfectly makes my point. You click where they get the claim, understanding the Hispanic consumer trends, value and buying power from NIQ. That's what I was trying to remember. Nielsen's rebranded data research arm. And when you go and scroll down to where they get it from, NIQ report the Hispanic beauty consumer. When, where is it? What? And then anything else referenced, Nielsen IQ, and then we get one Pew Research Center on the demographics in the country. But yeah, so there's where are these claims coming from and for what? And then again, the goal is just representation. It's not for an end of ICE raids or an end of exploitation of the countries from which Latin Americans come. It's not for wage increases, for immigration regulation, this, that. I mean, nothing. It's nothing. It's just put more Latinos in ads, and that's really it. So that's why
It's incredible. I love Rhonda.
I don't know why I like that so much. It's just so funny. I don't even remember what it was she was trying to say. But I had just clipped it when I was looking at those stories about Khalees in Kenya. And then I think she was trying to say something about Rwanda, but I don't think she was in Rwanda. I think she was trying to. I think she just glitched for a second and forgot where she was. I don't know. I don't really remember, but it was just funny to me. So all right, yeah. So that was it. Good people. I just wanted to clear some of this out. I'm going to save my story from the Afros and Audio podcast conference yesterday for next week Saturdays with Renee, and see when I can do the next Saturday Night Live to clear off some more. I mean, there's just so much nonsense piling up. The buying power mythology is really in full. Oh, you know what? Can I do? Let me do one more. Let me do one more. Right, that's what it is. It's like, um, let me there's really only one. All right, so a couple of you sent me, you all saw, a lot of you actually saw that. Let me get the let me get this story here from let me get the story here from President Medical Innovation. Let's see. It must be over here. You know what? In fact, give me a second here. I got something. I'm going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere because I'm gonna get this story together, and then I'm going to share something with you that I was sent recently that is pretty dope. So let's see. My fault, my fault. Yeah, give me. Yeah, give me a second here. I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
I do admit what I be listening to is garbage, but I still love it. I still like it, but it makes me dance and it gets me up. But his music brings education on the person.
Dumb down for my audience, double my dollars.
Selling your dreams with all your cream contributes to your lack of self-esteem.
Dumb down for my audience, double my dollars.
Selling your dreams with all your cream contributes to your lack of self-esteem.
They criticize me for it.
Accuse others
They criticize me for it.
when it's you showing your true colors.
They criticize me for it.
Accuse others.
They criticize me for it.
Accuse others when it's you showing your true colors.
Some of these households is different. Some of these households is pushing a different kind of brand of hip hop, right? Rap. It's when these drug dealers got into hip hop after they already started making money. Us hip hoppers was there before it was making money. We was fucking with it before it was making money. Let's just be honest. So stop being cowards and let's have a revolution. But they don't want to do that. Let's start a revolution. Let's get out of here. Let's do something. They want to be cartoons. Dudes just want to live a character. They want to be cartoons. So stop being cowards and let's have a revolution. But they don't want to do that.
But it's always, it's a lot like in similar to today, where the people who are on the front or on the mic who may be young are not necessarily in control of the process that puts them there. I'm saying I don't need to talk to an artist to understand the corporate relationship they have or to understand what the corporation is trying to do with that artist. And I certainly don't have to talk to an artist to understand why a corporation would be promoting that artist over another. I just simply have to look at and listen to their content.
I do admit what I be listening to is garbage, but I still love it. I still like it, but it makes me dance and, you know, it gets me up, but, you know, his music brings education on the person.
Hey, all right, that was pretty dope. It's an honor. I had to get the proper credit together for that though. But it's always an honor to make it into to someone's track. Yeah. Anyway. All right, so check this out. So a number of you sent me this story here, which you know, I admit to getting a kick out of because a couple of you sent it with these jokes of you know, what might this mean for me and we. But announced the other day with a renewed vote of confidence, Mackenzie Scott awards Morgan State University a transformative $63 million gift. Historic donation marks the second major unrestricted contribution from the noted philanthropist in 5 years, reinforcing Morgan's position as one of the nation's fastest growing and most impactful public research universities. So, with the gift given a couple of years ago, brings the total to 103 million in unrestricted contribution funds, and there's our president out and about on campus, saying Mackenzie Scott's renewed investment in Morgan is a resounding testament to work we've done to drive transformation, not only within our campus, but throughout the communities we serve, said David K. Wilson, president of Morgan State University. To receive one historic gift from Ms. Scott was an incredible honor. To receive two speaks volumes about the confidence she and her team have in our institution's stewardship, leadership, and trajectory. This is much more than philanthropy. It is a partnership in progress. So this is great. It's going to help the university and help the surrounding community. But but I couldn't help but look into, I was just curious who else has been getting this money. And there's only one that I just that I wanted to highlight and poke just a little bit of fun at. But as you can see here, Yield Giving is the philanthropic arm through which Ms. Scott gives this money that of course is just a small segment of the billions that she's worth, having been formerly married to Jeff Bezos. Although I did see some headlines saying that her overall share amount went down a little bit and he controls her shares, but some, you know, I don't know, but she's not hurting for money. So, but you could just see, if you can see, I hope you can see at least a little bit here, just some of you know, a lot of people getting money. There's just a lot of yeah, a lot of money being, you know, charter schools, Urban League of Atlanta, Mandela Partners, Motown Museum, Warrior Scholar Project. Got 5 milli. A milli, a milli, a milli, milli, a milli. So probably gonna have to do a quick search for it because focus area. Let's do multidisciplinary art. Get lit. Words ignite. Got 1 million. But I'm scrolling. I actually scrolled through a lot. Just was looking, and just there's just a lot of nonprofits, a lot of folks. I think most probably trying to do meaningful, decent, good work, trying to be, helpful in wherever community they are. But no, that wasn't it, huh? Hold on a second. Let's do visual arts. And I'm just and here it is. I see Ghetto Film School got 5 million in 2024. I said Ghetto Film School. What an interesting name. So I looked up at Ghetto Film School, and I just said, who is this? Ghetto Film School is an award-winning nonprofit founded in 2000 to educate, develop, and celebrate the next generation of great storytellers. With locations in New York, LA, London, GFS equips students for top universities and careers in industries through 2 tracks: introductory to education program for high school students and early career support for alumni and young professionals. So I said, okay, what is who? And board of directors under leadership, and this very second name is LeeDaniels. And I said, oh my goodness, doesn't it just make all the sense in the world that the man that gave us such classics as The Butler and uh Precious and need I say more? Monsters Ball. He got Holly Berry her one and only, I believe only, Oscar. And of course, great shows and platforms for legends like Terrence Howard through vehicles like Empire. But how perfect is it that this is someone at the leadership of the Ghetto Film School, along with Neil. I don't know. Neil might be. Is Neil ambiguous? Neil is looking might be slightly ambiguous. Maybe that's me with my ambiguous eyeglasses lenses on. But this is who's the leadership of the Ghetto Film School. This is the leadership of the Ghetto Film School. I just said, wow. I just couldn't. So I had nothing. Honestly, I haven't. There's nothing. I got no deep commentary about it. I just thought, how perfect is that? Because I'm thinking, for all the good that money is doing Morgan State and the surrounding Baltimore community, there is money going to a LeeDaniels led, not Lee the Butler Daniels. And do you all remember the scene where Oprah got to convey all of the black bourgeois sentiment about the Black Panther Party and radicals in that scene in The Butler? That oh my goodness! But Precious got Monique an Academy Award. So he gets Black Women Actresses Academy Awards. Precious was, my goodness. Yeah, I don't know. I had heard for a minute I was hearing a few things about this Spook remake that was supposed to be taking place in Baltimore for Netflix, and even knew one or two people associated with the production. But I hope it never is. I don't know what it. I hope it's never made. I hope we never. So anyway, I just thought I would share that little bit there. That's you know. But okay, good people. Please do enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Thank you all for joining me for a little bit this afternoon. Please do support the platform however you see fit, and do the same for, of course, Black Liberation Media and all those overlapping satellite comrade platforms as well. Again, thank you all very much. Appreciate you. You know, and I love you all as much as
It's incredible. I love Rhonda.
and yeah, peace, everybody. Only if you're willing to fight for it, like Fred Hampton used to say. And I'll catch you next time around here with more.
And what do you sacrifice?
Calm, kindness, kinship, love. I've given up all chance at inner peace. I made my mind a sunless space. I share my dreams with ghosts. I wake up every day to an equation I wrote 15 years ago for which there's only one conclusion. I'm damned for what I do. My anger, my ego, my unwillingness to yield, my eagerness to fight, that set me on a path from which there's no escape. I yearn to be a savior against injustice without contemplating the cost, and by the time I look down, there's no longer any ground beneath my feet. What is my sacrifice? I'm condemned to use the tools of my enemy to defeat them. I burn my decency for someone else's future. I burn my life to make a sunrise that I know I'll never see. Now, the ego that started this fight will never have a mirror or an audience or the light of gratitude. So what do I sacrifice? Everything, 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 everything.
I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like.